coded some stuff. Some things were missing from the design, but eventually we went and deployed it into production. And that product lasted for 7 years. And during that 7 years, we never got any defects. So huddling together at one place in one room, trying to come up with design really helped us in improving the quality of the product that we delivered. And after 7 years, we just dumped the software. It is now, it was readapted by another team in Delta known as Viper, and they formed the basis of the new software, the new algorithm to service customers in those troubled times of IRON. So now I'm going to turn over to Loren and Courtney, and they're going to explain the concepts of mobbing that they learned last year. And hopefully by the end of this talk, you will realize why I spent the first 10 minutes telling my story. So Loren, Courtney, take it away.
All right.
Loren.
Oh, you need for me to stand over there?
Yep.
And Courtney, you'll be happy to know I've got a timer.
Oh, cool. I've got one too.
So,
Oh, you didn't see it.
Oh, I have 2 more minutes.
So I'm Loren Kirby. I'm a DevOps engineer and an Agile technical coach at Delta Airlines. And how many of you have heard of mob programming before? Anybody? Okay.
It's okay if you're new.
That's fine. So what mob programming is all the brilliant minds working together on the same thing at the same time in the same space at the same computer. And we got this quote from our friend Woody Zuhl, who we met about a year ago in Minneapolis, who gave a presentation about mob programming. And after his presentation, I went up to talk to him and I said, there's some things I don't understand. Where are your Agile ceremonies in all of this? And he said, so explain to me what Agile ceremonies I need. He said, we started out at the beginning of the day by taking a story from our backlog. We made sure we understood the story, so that's our grooming. We started working on the story, and by the end of the day, we had completed that work and closed out the story and delivered the results. So what other Agile ceremonies do I need? And it was like a bomb had gone off and the top of my head had blown off. I realized, oh my goodness, he's right. What ceremonies do I need? If I've got everybody in the same room, we don't need stand-ups because we're all in the same room. And if we're working on the same story and grooming it and then delivering the results, we don't need to have a separate grooming session. We don't need to have a separate sprint planning session. Basically, the boundaries, the time box of our sprint is 1 day, right? And we're doing single piece flows, so we don't have to prioritize anything. There's one item to prioritize, right? So that was a big revelation for me. We had a real world problem we were trying to solve where in our Speed to Market dojo, we had a class that we were teaching on OpenShift, and the class portion itself, the PowerPoint part was fine. That took about an hour to get through. And then we'd do about a 3-hour lab session, and at the end of the 3-hour lab session, only maybe 2 or 3 people had actually completed the lab out of a class of maybe 15 or 20 people. And the rest of them were really struggling and having a difficult time. So after we got back from the dojo consortium, we tried mobbing on that OpenShift training, and the result was dramatic. We went from only a handful of people completing the lab to everyone completed the lab. Everyone came away with the same understanding. We had, instead of 2 or 3 people who got it, we had 15 people who got it. So it was very effective. So here's what mobbing looks like. We bring all the people together with all the knowledge and skills, completely different all together in the same room. We've got one computer there. You notice there's another computer here, but that one's being used for the research computer. Everybody's working on that one computer. Now, the main concept of this is something called the driver navigator system. Has anybody ever done pair programming or heard of pair programming? So for an idea to go from one person's head into the computer, it has to pass through someone else's hands. So this is not all of us sitting around watching one person code. In fact, that would be counterproductive. This is the driver as an intelligent input device, listening to what the navigators are telling them and typing that into the computer. Now there's another very important thing here is that the same person doesn't drive for the whole time. We rotate every 7 to 15 minutes, depending on the preferences of the team, usually around 10 minutes, we change drivers. And so everyone gets a turn to be driver. Another thing that's very important is if we've got somebody who's a knowledge expert, we try to make them go last. It's frustrating for that person oftentimes, but it keeps them from taking over the keyboard and charging out ahead with nobody else understanding what's going on. So as I said, it's not 5 people watching one person code. It looks like this. So we've got, what was her name, Angela?
Angie.
Angie is sitting here, and she's our driver, and Jerome and Andy are telling her what needs to be typed into the computer. And
Enjoy.
MJ is sitting here, MJoy is sitting here waiting because they're trying to solve something. She was on the research computer, but right now there's nothing to research. And then we've got some coaches in the background kind of watching.
Creeping on them.
Yeah, creeping. I like that.
What's that look, Courtney?
I know, that's my
creepy.
worst.
So here we have, now Jerome is navigating, and we've got, or Jerome is driving, and we've got navigator, 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 navigator. Now, it's important, only these 2 guys are developers. This is our Scrum Master,